Welcome back into the Talking Fitchburg. We're not in our normal spot. We're in what I'm calling the phone booth of Talking Fitchburg. And joining me from the phone booth is Scott Gerard. He's from the Fitchburg Star. Scott, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Am I the first person to be interviewed in the phone booth?
You are.
Boy, what an honor.
I know, it's a little, you're going to want to watch this and you'll know. But Scott, you had a chance to, you're here to give us an update on what happened at the Fitchburg Council. It was a busy one again, so let's get started.
Yeah, it was a little over 2 hours still, and, there was really one item that kind of ate up a lot of that time, and it was one that everybody's familiar with, the bike and pedestrian plan and how it relates to sidewalks. So the plan, to give a little background, was approved on February 28th at the council's meeting, and it was approved with the direction to staff to write in some language from a resolution that had been approved a month earlier, related to sidewalks and some concerns that city residents have had about sidewalk installation in established neighborhoods. So staff had gone back and tried to write that into the plan that existed, and had a few points that they needed to clarify. So they brought some questions back to the council to ensure they had the proper direction and were making the right inclusions into the plan. So that turned into a long discussion about, that got into a bit of procedure and policy, and, could they make certain changes at the meeting with based on what was noticed in the agenda. So it was a pretty, in detailed discussion about some factors, and there were a lot of people who were, a few of the alders were concerned that it would, muddy the process, and it was all about changing or potentially removing one line that would have cleared up whether the prohibition on sidewalks applied to commercial properties and multifamily properties. So staff was trying to get an understanding from the council about whether the language they wanted was meant to only apply to single-family homes or to apply to those commercial and multifamily areas as well. Ultimately, they are having staff, because what's in the plan now was based on a resolution. The city clerk requested that if they're going to change it, they bring another resolution forward. That would be a cleaner process. She said, if someone comes, she said, back in 3 years and wants to request what the language is, it's a lot easier if there's another resolution passed that she can refer to, rather than having to remember certain things or go back into meeting minutes or things like that. So it'll be back again. The plan's not quite final yet. Staff will be making some edits and bringing it back again for approval. Another point that staff made was ensuring that the shared use path for Lacey Road that's been planned and will be put in this summer along with the road's reconstruction was exempt from the policy because it specifically prohibits shared use paths with certain exceptions. But as it was written, Lacey Road would not have been accepted, which would have caused some problems for this summer's construction. So they did, council gave their approval basically for staff to include that exception in there as well.
Man, I'm glad I'm not the one who had to explain that.
I tell you what, even as I was saying it, I was like, I think all these words are right. But yeah, it was. They got pretty in the weeds, which some council members were a little unhappy. They were so in the weeds as well. They felt like it was wasted time in a discussion that had been settled. But Steve, Mayor Arnold, came back to just saying that staff asked for direction and was wanting to make sure that they got it right and had the council's intent accurately reflected in the plan. So we'll see what happens when they come back. It seems like everyone was of the same understanding last night. It just took a bit of a long discussion to make sure of that and to decide what the best way to move forward would be.
Yeah, so if you missed this and you want to get the full update, certainly you can go back and watch our video on demand and check it out. And of course, Scott will have a good write-up for you, I'm sure, in the next paper. What else do we have going on there, Scott?
So otherwise, they had a short discussion about naming the spot that is been proposed to be a new dog park over Irish Lane over there. Name it Sunnyside Park, which is after a family that had a hatchery over there called Sunnyside Hatchery, and they had first bought that in 1950 and owned it until the mid-1990s, and so it would be honoring them, and they are on a neighboring property, I believe, and there was some discussion about whether or not naming the park was kind of putting the cart before the horse, because it hasn't been officially declared a dog park yet. The council hasn't approved that site, but Jake Johnson explained that they specifically went with Sunnyside Park instead of Sunnyside Dog Park because even though it's not been determined with finality that it's a dog park yet, it is still parkland right now. And so whatever use it may or may not have in the future, Sunnyside Park would apply.
Well, there you go. And then real quick, last story from council.
Those were really the big two. There also was, they tabled some discussion about Boys and Girls Club funding, which was a big part of the budget discussion last fall, and so that'll be coming back. And it's about just figuring out some reporting requirements and expectations for Boys and Girls Club to ensure that they get their funding.
Perfect. Well, Scott, we appreciate it as always, and we'll get you back on the show in a couple of weeks for the next council update.
Looking forward to it, Jeremy. Thanks very much.
All right, thank you, Scott. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. It is Talking Fitchburg.